If you've ever driven through a neighborhood in central New Jersey and you spotted a home that's been sitting on the market for weeks, and you thought to yourself, wait, that hasn't sold yet? I promise you, it's usually not random. There are a handful of reasons I see over and over again that causes homes to sit even when they look perfect online. And the thing is, if you know what to look for, you can save yourself from wasting weekends touring the wrong homes. Or even worse, falling in love with something that's going to cost you way more than the listing price suggests. I'm Claudia Dunn, your Central New Jersey real estate agent, and I've been doing this for over 10 years right here in this market. I know these neighborhoods, towns, and price points inside and out. So today, I'm walking you through the 8 biggest reasons homes sit in Central New Jersey, and I'm going to give you real-life examples from real showings so you know exactly what to watch out for. Let's get into it. Number 1, taxes. This is one of the biggest reasons homes sit in Central New Jersey, and most buyers don't even think about it until they're already emotionally attached to the house. Here's what I mean. I've seen 2 homes listed at exactly the same price. Let's say it's $799. But one has $13,000 a year in taxes and the other is closer to $19,000. That difference can easily translate to a few $100s more per month on your monthly payment. So buyers walk in, love the house, run the numbers, and then quietly back out. And it's not because the house isn't worth it, but because the taxes make it feel like it isn't. And here's what I want sellers to understand about this. Your home may not be actually overpriced. It might just be priced like it has a lower tax bill. And that misalignment is enough to keep it sitting. When I'm working with buyers, taxes are one of the first things we look at before we even schedule a showing. Because falling in love with a house and then discovering a $600 a month difference in carrying costs is a really hard conversation to have in the driveway. Number 2, location. Now, this one seems obvious, but the way it plays out in real life is much more subtle than people expect. The location looks great on paper, good school district, close to shopping, reasonable commute, but then you actually pull up to the house and it's on a busy road, or it backs up to a commercial building, or there's just way more traffic than you anticipated. Most of the time, we're able to scope this out with Google Maps if I don't know the specific street off the top of my head. But on some rare occasions, it's an unfortunate surprise when we get to the property. I'll give you a real example. I showed my clients a house in Jackson that honestly checked off every single box. The size was right, the upgrades were gorgeous, great schools, and a decent amount of land with a pool. They were excited before we even walked in. But when we got to the backyard, you could see the Garden State Parkway. We knew it was there, but we didn't know how exposed the yard would be until we saw it in person. It was winter, so the trees weren't full yet, and there was nothing hiding this. You could hear the cars very clearly. I noticed my clients and I were raising our voices just to have a normal conversation standing outside. I pointed this out to them and I said, imagine if you're trying to entertain out here in the summertime with the music going and people in the pool, and you're competing with the sounds of the parkway. We did end up going back for a second look because they really loved everything else about the house, but ultimately the road noise was a deal breaker. And that's the thing about location. It's the one thing you absolutely cannot change about a property. Everything else is fixable. Location is not. I grew up in this area and local knowledge really matters here. I know which roads get backed up, which intersections are noisy, which neighborhoods back up to commercial properties, and when I don't know something off the top of my head, Google Maps Street View and Satellite View are tools that I use with every single client before we even schedule a showing. It definitely saves everyone time. Number 3, layout and size. This one surprises people because it's not always about the square footage on paper. Some homes just feel smaller in person than what they look like online. The photos might make the rooms feel big and open, but when you walk in, the ceilings are lower than expected, the rooms feel tighter, or the layout just doesn't flow in a way that makes sense for how your family actually lives. And especially for move-up buyers, people who are leaving a smaller home specifically because they want more space, that feeling matters enormously. If it doesn't feel like a meaningful upgrade the moment you walk in, they're not moving forward. Even if the numbers say it's bigger. This is why I always tell my clients, photos are marketing. They're shot with wide-angle lenses, optimized lighting, and carefully chosen angles. Your job when you walk in is to feel the space, not just see it. Number 4, something just feels off. You ever walk into a house and you just immediately feel like something's just not right? You can't always put your finger on it immediately, but the feeling is there, and it's there the moment you cross the threshold. That happens more than people expect, and it's usually a combination of small things that add up. Let me tell you about a house I just showed in Manalapan this last weekend. My clients had found it online and they had absolutely fallen in love. It fit their budget, it was in the school district they wanted for their son. On paper, it was everything. We already knew going in that it was on a busy road, so we were prepared for that part. We walked in ready to see past the location because everything else looked so good online. And then we started looking closer. The kitchen had been renovated, or at least looked that way in the photos. Beautiful countertops, modern finishes, but when we got in there, what looked like granite was actually cheap laminate. And at that price point, buyers had certain expectations. Laminate counters in a kitchen being marketed as renovated, that's a big disconnect. The deck you could see in the listing photos, it looked like it was falling apart up close. The molding throughout the house had nail holes and it was all crooked. The home had been expanded at some point, and where it was expanded, it left these awkward nooks that made no sense spatially. The pocket doors had no latch to pull them open. The stand-up shower had no door, no curtain rod. None of these things showed up in the photos, and every single one of them showed up the moment we walked in. My clients were devastated. They really wanted this to be the one, and they felt defeated walking out. But here's what they said to me afterward, and I think it's the most important takeaway from this entire video. They said they finally understood why seeing a home in person is so important. Photos show you what someone wants you to see. Walking through the home shows you the truth. That experience, as disappointing as it was, made them much sharper buyers going forward. Number 5, the hidden costs. Here's one that catches a lot of buyers completely off guard in central New Jersey specifically. Hidden costs. Things that don't show up in the listing price but absolutely show up in your monthly expenses. Flood zones are a big one in this area. If a home is in a flood zone, you're looking at flood insurance on top of your regular homeowner's insurance. And that can be a significant additional monthly cost, plus it'll cost you some peace of mind. Some buyers don't find out until they're already under contract. Whenever my clients are considering a home, the flood map is always one of the first things I check for added peace of mind. HOA fees are another one. 2 homes at the same price point, one has no HOA, the other one has a $400 a month fee. That changes the math entirely. Higher property insurance due to the age or condition of the home, like having well and septic versus public utilities, oil heat versus gas. All of these things affect your real monthly costs in ways that the listing price does not tell you. When I work with buyers, I make sure we're looking at the full cost of ownership, not just the mortgage payment, before we fall in love with anything. Because the payment you qualify for and the payment that actually feels comfortable can be 2 very different things. Number 6, pricing misalignment. This is probably one of the most nuanced on this list, and it's one that I want every seller watching this to really hear. Some homes aren't overpriced, they're just misaligned. There is a difference. Overpriced means the number is too high for what the home is. Misaligned means the price doesn't always match what buyers are comparing it to, even if the number itself seems reasonable in isolation. I had a listing in Manalapan that taught me a lot about this one. It was a nice split level, move-in ready, some good basic upgrades, priced in a neighborhood that was predominantly bi-levels and colonials. It was one of the smaller homes in the area on a corner lot where most of the yard was on the front and the side. The fenced backyard had an above-ground pool and a playground, but it was kind of on an incline, which a lot of the buyers didn't love. We started at $750,000 specifically to drive immediate traffic and create competition. And it worked. We got offers right away, but the sellers got overwhelmed by the activity and second-guessed the strategy. We ended up raising the price to $799 and then slowly reducing it over time. Eventually, we just took it off the market to regroup. But here's what the market was telling us the whole time. Even though this home was the most affordable option in this particular neighborhood, buyers were looking at everything else similar for the money and choosing different floor plans and better yard situations. The value just didn't feel right for them in comparison, and not because the house wasn't good, but because the competition offered more of what they wanted for the same price. That's misalignment, and it's one of the hardest things to explain to a seller because the home is worth it in isolation. It just isn't worth it relative to the choices buyers have right next to it. pricing strategy in this market isn't just about your home. It's about your home versus everything else a buyer can choose instead. Number 7, Catfish Homes. This one's exactly what it sounds like. Some homes in central New Jersey are just honestly catfishing buyers. The photos look incredible, bright open, beautifully renovated, perfectly staged, and then you walk in and it feels like a completely different property. I literally just showed one of these, the same in Elephant House I told you about in section 4. And the catfishing was a big part of what made it so disappointing for my clients. But I want to talk about this from the seller's perspective too, because sometimes it's not even intentional. It's the lighting, the wide-angle lenses, strategic angles that hide the busy road, the power lines in the back, the small backyard, or the awkward layout. Professional real estate photography is specifically designed to show a home at its absolute best. And there's nothing wrong with that. The problem begins when best and reality are too far apart. Because that gap between what buyers see online and what they feel when they walk in, it doesn't just leave them disappointed, it makes them feel deceived and they'll walk away immediately. That damages the listing now because you've burned the most important asset you have in real estate: first showings from motivated buyers. If you're a seller and you're working with an agent, make sure your listing photos are accurate and beautiful, not just beautiful. The right buyers for your home should walk in and feel like it's even better in person. That's the goal. Number 8, over-personalization. And this one doesn't get talked about enough. Some homes are just too personalized for the general buyer pool to connect with. And I want to be clear, there's nothing wrong with making your home feel like yours while you're living in it. That's the whole point. But when it's time to sell, highly specific design choices can make it really hard for buyers to connect with a home and see past what's there to imagine their own life in the space. I showed a property in Monroe recently that is a perfect example of this. Great space, great layout, good location, genuinely a solid home. But the seller's favorite color was pink, and I mean pink everywhere. Pink counters, pink floors, pink walls throughout. My client actually grew up with a pink kitchen, so it wasn't even that she disliked it. She did appreciate it, but as she stood there and molded over, looking around, she said, "I love this space, but I just don't want to take on all this work to bring it up to date." And that's exactly the point. It wasn't just the pink, it was the combination of the personalization and the dated finishes that made the project feel too big. And buyers do that math very quickly. They're not just calculating the purchase price, they're calculating the price plus everything they'd need to spend to make it feel like theirs. So if you're thinking about selling, neutral doesn't have to mean boring or sterile. It means giving the buyers mental space to imagine themselves there. And that imagination is what creates emotional attachment, and emotional attachment is what's going to get you those really strong offers. So if you've ever wondered why a home sits, now you know. It's rarely just one thing, it's usually a combination of these, and sometimes the homes look absolutely perfect online, which makes it even more confusing from the outside. This is exactly why having someone in your corner who knows this market, knows these neighborhoods, and knows how to read what buyers are actually responding to makes such a big difference in your outcome. If you're thinking about buying or selling in central New Jersey and you want a real strategy, not just a number, I'd love to talk. You can book a free discovery call with me at dunedynasty.home/consultation. The link is in the description box below. And if this video gave you something useful and you feel I've earned your subscription, I'd really appreciate it. I put out content specifically for central New Jersey buyers and sellers, so you always know what's happening in this market. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.